Mr. Secretary, can you explain the proposed cut in budget?
Since, sir, you've asked a simple-minded question, I will give you an equally simple-minded answer. Since no great naval power menaces the free world today, the Navy's overwhelming preponderance of surface ships seems to be superfluous. Hence the cut in budget. Major.
My time is important. How much longer are we going to go on with this nonsense?
Yes, sir. If there are no further questions for the Secretary, I think that'll about wrap things up.
Mr. Secretary, I have a question, sir.
Who are you, sir?
I am United States Senator John Yerkes Iceland, and I have a question so serious that the safety of our nation may well depend on your answer.
Who?
No evasions, Mr. Secretary, no evasions, if you please, sir.
Evasion? What the hell are you talking about? What kind of foolishness is this?
Mr. Secretary, I'm kind of new at this job, but I don't think it's good public relations to talk that way to a United States Senator, even if he is an idiot.
I am United States Senator John Yerkes Iceland, and I have here a list of the names of 207 persons who are known by the Secretary of Defense as being members of the Communist Party.
What?
Who are still, nevertheless,
If you
working in and shaping the policy of the Defense Department.
Senator who?
I demand an answer, Mr. Secretary. There will be no covering up, sir.
What?
No covering up. You are not going to get your hands
How did you
on
get in
this.
here in the first place?
And I
Major,
deeply
throw that
regret
lunatic out of here.
having to say in front of these ladies and gentlemen
You
and the
claim that you're
television
a
and radio
senator?
audience of
Senator
our
what?
great
I want to
country
know.
that you no
President
longer
what?
have my confidence,
Why,
sir.
you're an idiot if you
No,
ask
sir.
me. You're out of your
It is
mind. You
no
don't
longer
belong
a
to the Senate
matter for
floor.
investigation by the Defense
Get out of
Department.
here. Where is
I am
the
afraid you have lost your
Get
chance,
that
sir.
man out of this room.
This matter is now the responsibility
Where
of the United States
Throw that man
Senate.
out of this room. I will not have him in here. Do you hear me? Now, never. If I ever catch you in this room again, I'll throw you out bodily. What do you want? Get out of here. Don't you take my picture anymore. Now clear this room. Go on, get out of here.
Senator Iceland, I'd like to verify that number, sir. How many communists did you say?
Major, I said there were exactly, I've absolutely proof there are 104 card-carrying communists in the Defense Department at this time.
How many, sir?
275, and that's absolutely all I have to say on this subject at this time. Come here. Come.
Major, how many did he say?
Yes, yes. Boys, please.
Major, how many did he say?
The Red Scare describes two eras in American history where there was great fear disseminated across the land. The first was from 1917 to 1920. The second was from 1947 to 1957, and this is commonly referred to as McCarthyism, called that after the Senator Joseph McCarthy that used fear-mongering to spread the tale that there were communists infiltrating America. The words you heard to start this week's film review offer a haunting, visually striking dramatization of that time. Directed by action and suspense film master, the late John Frankenheimer, The Manchurian Candidate was released in 1962, and it was remade in 2004. It is based off the novel by Richard Condon. The film centers on Raymond Shaw, Lawrence Harvey with a brilliant performance, whose family is heavily involved in politics. His stepfather is a senator that, much like McCarthy, is disseminating that he knows many people that are known communists. Shaw comes home from the Korean War as a decorated war hero, but all is not as it seems. And Commander Bennett Marco, played by Frank Sinatra, uncovers a nefarious plot that has turned Shaw into an assassin trained to help overthrow the government. When talking about this film, it is best to start with the scene that shows how Shaw became an assassin through brainwashing done while being captive in the Korean War. Lost in the translation of this airing on radio is a brilliant 360-degree camera turn to visually show what is real and what the troops see. Through hypnosis and brainwashing, they believe they are at a garden club party. Then, in our second clip, we hear a later scene where Shaw is triggered into killing a fellow soldier by the conspirators.
Stop.
Another modern discovery, which we owe to the hydrangea, concerns the influence of air drainage upon plant climate. Many years ago, when I was traveling about the country, I noticed magnificent hydrangeas on the hills, where the air drainage was perfect, and very poor specimens, or perhaps none at all, in the valleys. Formerly, we used to consider sheltered valleys more favorable to plants than hilltops. But the avoidance of late spring and early autumn frost enjoyed by sites with good air drainage, where the cold air can drain safely away to lower levels, gives the hills a decided advantage. Thus, it was the hydrangeas that gave the first pointer in another modern discovery of horticultural importance. From this, it might appear that the hydrangea is a fairly simple plant, but there are more complications. The cultivation of hydrangeas was evolved from a number of varieties originally found in Japan, not all of which, of course, have the same characteristics. Two of them do not share the quality of producing blue flowers in mineral-rich soils.
Allow me to introduce our American visitors. I must ask you to forgive their somewhat lackadaisical manners, but I have conditioned them, or brainwashed them, which I understand is the new American word, to believe that they are waiting out a storm in the lobby of a small hotel in New Jersey, where a meeting of the Ladies' Garden Club is in progress.
You will notice that I have told them they may smoke. I've allowed my people to have a little fun in the selection of bizarre tobacco substitutes.
And now, the later scene.
My dear Jan, as you grow older, you grow more long-winded. And to get to the point, has the man ever killed anyone? Or has enough?
I apologize, my dear Dmitri. I keep forgetting that you're a young country and your attention span is limited. Tell me, Raymond, have you ever killed anyone?
No, ma'am.
Not even in combat?
In combat? Yes, ma'am, I think so.
Of course you have, Raymond. Raymond has been a crack shot since childhood.
Marvelous outlet for his aggressions. May I have the bayonet, please?
Not with the knife, with the hands.
With the hands?
Here, have him use this. Da.
Raymond, whom do you dislike the least in your group here today?
The least?
That's right.
Well, I guess Captain Markham, ma'am.
Notice how he is always drawn to authority? That won't do, Raymond. We need the captain to get you your medal. Whom else?
Well, I guess Ed Mavoli, ma'am.
Ah, that's better. Now then, Raymond, take this scarf and strangle Ed Mavoli to death.
Yes, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me.
Hey, Sarge, cut it up. What?
Quiet, Ed, please. Now you just sit there quietly and cooperate.
Yes, ma'am.
A taut political film like this is only as good as its supporting cast. For this film, the two female leads delivered dynamite performances. First, Angela Lansbury, who was nominated for an Academy Award with this performance, plays Shaw's mother, a woman only concerned with enhancing her and her husband's political standing in the world, no matter what the cost may be. And then Janet Leigh plays Rose Cheney, a woman who becomes involved with Marco after meeting him on a train. First, we will hear Marco and Cheney meeting for the first time. Hear how Leigh brings a softness to this cold, hard world. Then we hear Lansbury coldly explain how her son will kill a presidential candidate. Notice the contrast between the two, and it is very striking.
You Arabic?
No.
My name is Ben. Really Bennett. It's named after Arnold Bennett.
The writer?
No, Lieutenant Colonel. He was my father's commanding officer at the time.
What's your last name?
Marco.
Major Marco. Are you Arabic?
No.
Let me put it another way. Are you married?
No. You?
No.
What's your last name?
Cheney. I'm production assistant for a man named Justin, who had 2 hits last season. I live on 54th Street, a few doors from the Modern Museum of Art, of which I'm a tea privileges member. No cream. I live at 53 West 54th Street, apartment 3B. Can you remember that?
Yes.
Eldorado 59970. Can you remember that?
Yes.
Are you stationed in New York? Or is stationed the right word?
I'm not exactly stationed in New York. I was stationed in Washington, but I got sick, and now I'm on leave, and I'm suspended in New York.
Eldorado 59970.
I'm going to look up an old friend of mine who's a newspaper man. We were in Korea.
And now, our second clip.
It's been decided that you will be dressed as a priest to help you get away in the pandemonium afterwards. Chun Jin will give you a 2-piece Soviet Army sniper's rifle that fits nicely into a special bag. There's a spotlight booth that won't be in use. It's up under the roof on the 8th Avenue side of the garden. You will have absolutely clear, protected shooting. You are to shoot the presidential nominee through the head. And Johnny will rise gallantly to his feet and lift Ben Arthur's body in his arms, stand in front of the microphones and begin to speak. The speech is short, but it's the most rousing speech I've ever read. It's been worked on here and in Russia on and off for over 8 years. I shall force someone to take the body away from him. Then Johnny will really hit those microphones and those cameras with blood all over him, fighting off anyone who tries to help him, defending America even if it means his own death, rallying a nation of television viewers into hysteria to sweep us up into the White House with powers that will make martial law seem like anarchy. Now, this is very important. I want the nominee to be dead about 2 minutes after he begins his acceptance speech, depending on his reading time under pressure. You are to hit him right at the point that he finishes the phrase, "Nor would I ask of any fellow American in defense of his freedom that which I would not gladly give myself. My life before my liberty." Is that absolutely clear? Would you repeat it for me, Red?
Nor would I ask of any fellow American.
In defense of his freedom.
In defense of his freedom.
That which I would not
gladly
give myself.
Myself.
My life.
My life.
Before my liberty.
Before my liberty.
I know you will never entirely comprehend this, Raymond. But you must believe I did not know it would be you. I served them. I fought for them. I'm on the point of winning for them the greatest foothold they will ever have in this country. And they paid me back by taking your soul away from you. I told them to build me an assassin. I wanted a killer from a world filled with killers, and they chose you. Because they thought it would bind me closer to them. But now we have come almost to the end. One last step. And then when I take power, they will be pulled down and ground into dirt for what they did to you. And what they did in so contemptuously underestimating me.
What makes this film so memorable is that we become sympathetic towards Shaw. This man, this remorseless killer, this no-fun commander, who has no friends in his unit, despite them being brainwashed into calling him the kindest, bravest, warmest, most wonderful human being they have ever known in their lives. He is the villain and tragic hero rolled all into one. In our final clip, we hear a conversation between Shaw and his mother regarding his love interest. In this scene, we hear the manipulation that his mother uses and the conflict Shaw faces due to this manipulation.
What is it, Mother?
What sort of a greeting is that at 3:30 in the morning?
It's 2:45, and what do you want?
I want to talk to you, Raymond.
About what?
I want to talk to you about that communist tart.
Shut up with that, Mother. Shut up!
You know what Jordan is? Are you out to crucify me? Are you out to crucify
I don't know what you're
Ronnie?
talking about, and I don't want to know. I'm going to bed.
Raymond, sit down. How would you see her? They live in New York.
I'm getting a job in New York.
You have your army service.
Next spring. I might be dead by next spring.
Raymond, if we were at war, and you were suddenly to become infatuated with the daughter of a Russian agent, wouldn't you expect me to come to you and object? And beg you to stop the entire thing before it was too late? Well, we are at war. It's a cold war. But it will get worse and worse until every man, woman, and child in this country will have to stand up and be counted to say whether they are on the side of right and freedom or on the side of the Thomas Jordans of this country. I will go with you to Washington. Tomorrow, if you like, and I will show you documented proof that this man stands for evil, that he is evil, and that his whole life is devoted to undermining everything that you and I and Johnny and every freedom-minded American...
She won, of course. She always does. I could never beat her. I still can't. I wrote a letter. Or she wrote it and I signed it. I can't even remember which. It was a terrible, vile, disgusting letter. The next day I enlisted in the army. I never saw her again. God knows, Bella, I'm not lovable. But I loved her. And I did love her. I do love her.
The major aspect to me that makes this film great, it defies classic cinema. It totally disregards that label. We are led to believe, or programmed to believe, that classic cinema is neutralized to just a certain time. But this film can be viewed and related to any point in time, even our current time frame. We have all had times where we feel the government has caused mass hysteria, real or not. This is what attracts viewers to the film even today. A distrust and discord amongst our government. This idea that our government does not operate in our best interests. They merely operate in their own interests. For great political suspense with no flaws, The Manchurian Candidate is the film to view. Join me next week when we take a look at John Carpenter's sci-fi/fantasy/comedy epic Big Trouble in Little China, starring Kurt Russell. For WMNH and Matt Connarton Unleashed, this has been a classic film review with Erich Pilcher.